What is up? What is up? YouTube, how y'all doing? I was just outside doing reactions. Be back inside the studio. Check this out, man. I became a full-time YouTube in 24 months. I agree to say 24 hours. In 24 months. It took me 7 years, y'all, because I was hard-headed. And right after this intro, I'm gonna show y'all how you don't have to be hard-headed. Let's check it out.
Growth's got a formula most never learn. You don't need luck or talent, structure is earned. If you're ready to build and you know it's your turn, start with the 4 free videos, earn as you learn. Click on the more below to sign up.
Click on the link below, click on the more button below, sign up for my 4 free videos. If you want a life changing, if you're looking for freedom for real, I'm trying to tell y'all this social media is here to stay. People are making so much money on all these social media platforms, but you got to stop guessing. You got to figure out how to do it. So with that being said, she's going to tell all the reasons how she did it in 24 months. And it took me 7 years. So y'all hit that subscribe button. Don't be like me and try to do it all on your own until I bought a course. Once I bought a course, boom. I stopped guessing. I got clarity. Then I started getting structure. Yeah. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Let's check it out.
Want to go full if you genuinely want to go full-time with YouTube, I made this video for you to help you get there faster. In July of 2023, I uploaded my first video while working full-time in corporate banking. 2 years later, I officially quit all other forms of employment and became a full-time content creator. Even with a relatively small audience, now the journey between then and now was definitely not smooth sailing, and so today I really want to break down exactly how that happened, my journey with content creation, my income at every stage, everything I would tell my younger self at the start of this whole journey to help her get to this point faster and in a smarter way, things I do differently, biggest mistakes I'd avoid, what to double down on. And I'm also going to spill the real tea on what it actually takes to become a full-time YouTuber or content creator. And to be honest, it's probably stuff that you don't want to hear, but I'm here to tell you the truth because I genuinely want to help and I don't want to paint this false rosy image of content creation. So let's dive into it. Good morning, guys. Okay, so I'm at a little neighborhood park right now because they had some pull-up bars here, and one of my 2026 goals is to strengthen my pull-ups because I do want to be able to do 1 muscle up by the end of the year. This is me announcing it to the world now so that you guys can hold me accountable, but
okay, all right. I'm noticing I'm just checking out things, and I'm noticing a lot of YouTubers, content creators that's talking, they like to do things outside every now and then too. So I already got one up on you on that one. I like to do that too. Here we go.
The idea is for me to get out of the house, and first thing I do is go to this park and do some pull-ups, do some drills. So there's like a cafe right behind the pull-up bars, and all the chairs, I don't know, they like to do this in Vietnam where all the chairs face one direction, and so everyone is just looking at me as I'm doing pull-ups, and it's just like a bunch of these old Vietnamese uncles, and they're all just staring at me. And of course I'm drawing more attention to myself by taking my tripod out and filming everything, and it's just like
everybody looking.
I don't think much happens in this little neighborhood in Da Nang, so this is probably like the most interesting part of their morning or their day even. But yeah, so just a little insight into my morning routine nowadays. I am walking to the beach now, which is where I want to film today's video, and I ordered some decaf coffee from Grab to the beach location, and we're gonna see now who arrives first, me or the Grab. Hopefully I get there before him. You know what I realized? When you're vlogging outside, a hack to not feel super self-conscious about filming in public and other people watching you and stuff is to just blast music really loudly in your ears so you feel like you're in your own little bubble, like your own little world. But the downside is that, I mean, I've got the noise cancelling feature on. I have no clue how loudly I'm speaking right now, so hopefully I'm not like shouting in the streets.
Yeah,
I doubt I am, but yeah, just in case you guys are wondering, I'm listening to some ABBA this morning. Nice tropical beach vibes.
Okay. All right. So when we gonna get to the YouTube? That's nice, y'all. One of the things I want to mention when you're doing your YouTube and stuff is everybody want to see the scenery, man. So if you can blog and do things outside so people can see your background while you're talking to them, that's a plus. Because just like y'all, I'm ready to hit play and keep going, because you want to see the beauty of this world.
So I'm going to share a bit about my content creation journey up to this point. I have been posting videos for 2.5 years now, and the first 2 years, honestly, was struggle city because I was either working full-time or part-time whilst I was making videos, and that was really difficult. So just to give a breakdown of the timeline, it was July 2023 until March 2024. I was working a corporate job in banking in Asia, and at that point, I was definitely already on quiet quitting mode, and so like any hours during the day where I didn't really have that much work to do, or I had like a break in between meetings, that's when I would script for my YouTube video or do some editing. And I spent pretty much every single lunch break eating whilst also doing YouTube work. Weekends were spent filming, scheduling the upload, and then evenings after work would be either cooking, gym, editing my video, doing my thumbnail, and just making content. I would work on YouTube at every chance that I got. So whether that was commuting to work or whilst I was doing my incline walks on the treadmill after my workouts, like any gap that I had in my day, I would utilize it to make content. And so that was definitely tough, and I don't know if I could have kept that up for longer than a year. I think it helped knowing that I had this plan to quit and I knew when that was going to be, and so that really helped to push me because I knew that, you know, this isn't going to be forever. August 2024 till December of 2024, so that was when I moved to Australia under a working holiday visa. Lived there for a year, but for the first 6 months was when I was working part-time at a gym as a receptionist, and so I was working 3 days a week, and then on the days where I wasn't having my shifts at the gym, that's when I would do all my content stuff. January 2025 till June of 2025 was when I worked as a sales rep at a gym, so January to March was full-time, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. until 7 p.m., and then the last 3 months was part-time. But when I was working full-time, wow, I would say that was even more intense than when I was working my corporate job, because with a sales gym job, every hour that you work is accounted for. It's like, okay, 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. that's when we do our call drive, meaning we cold call like 40, 50 people to get them to come into the gym. And then it's like everyone gets a 1 hour break exactly on the dot. And usually I would use those 1 hour breaks to either work out or to do my YouTube work and client work, because that's when I had started my creator coaching business. And then so I would use my mornings, like I would wake up at 7 a.m. to just do 1 or 2 hours of work before I had to go into the gym. And then when I came home, I would have dinner and also like do a little bit of work, respond to clients in the evenings, and then just go straight to bed. And then the weekends was like doing discovery calls like for my own coaching, and also doing calls with clients, making content, filming. It was a lot, honestly. So by June of 2025, I had been making content for 2 years, and that was the point where I finally decided, okay, I'm gonna quit all other forms of employment, cold turkey, and just go all in on content creation. I wasn't gonna rely on any other stable sources of income. I really was just gonna go all in. A bit of a mid-story break, just had my coffee arrive.
Yeah.
It's moments like this where I feel very grateful for everything and for life, because I just delivered some iced decaf to the beach where I'm sat right now, and I'm filming content and just feeling very at peace and very chill. I just feel very grateful getting to do what I love, being able to spend my time how I want to, and being in this beautiful place. This was exactly what I wanted when I quit my corporate job. Like, I didn't really have a specific idea of how I wanted my life to look. I just knew how I wanted it to feel, and generally I just wanted my life to feel peaceful. I wanted to feel like my nervous system was regulated. I wanted to be spending time doing meaningful work that I love, to just be happy, really. Like, I know that sounds really vague, but that was all I really wanted, and it's really not asking for much, and I just feel very grateful to be where I am right now. Having a little moment here. I don't want this to come across as like some flex, because of course the journey to get to this point was anything but easy. That's why I want to like share my story online, so that it gives people a realistic idea of what it takes to get to this point.
Nah, right now you kind of making people don't want to do what you did. structure. You got to get some structure, get a system going to get direction. And I explained all this in my course, but let's just keep going. Let's just keep going, man. Here we go.
I'm not saying that I have my life fully together right now. Like, I'm still building my life, building my business, building the channel and everything. And it's still very much a work in progress, and I have a long way to go. But this is more than enough for now, like the position that I'm in. Yeah, just having a little moment here. This is really nice. Just the sea breeze and everything.
Man, she got 42,000 subscribers, so she got a lot of people following her, man. But I mean, let's go. Let's keep going.
You see people online posting these videos about how they quit their 9-to-5 with no backup plan. You know, that's not realistic. The reality is those people have certain things, like circumstances in their life, certain factors in play, which allow them to then quit their job because they already have some form of a safety net. So for example, I follow this guy on Instagram, and he quit his job at Google to just figure out his life. And he started building his personal brand on Instagram, sharing the journey and how he's moved to Japan and Asia, and how he's burning through his savings whilst trying to figure out how to make a living beyond, you know, working at Google. And so for him, it was like, okay, he worked at Google, where he was earning a ton of money. And he even shared at one point, like, the numbers of how much he had in his savings, how much he had in investments, and it was a lot of money, more than what most people his age would have. I like how he was very transparent about this and shared that, yeah, this is my safety net that I have, and this is what has allowed me to confidently quit my job and not necessarily have any concrete plans or like a concrete strategy in place for how he was going to make money. So yeah, that was his specific situation. And I know other people who have quit their corporate jobs and they're living in pretty expensive cities like London, for example. And I find out that, okay, the reason why they were able to quit their jobs and go all in on YouTube is because like their partner works a corporate job and is earning good money, and that's why they're able to afford rent in such an expensive place. It's these hidden things that they don't quite tell you. And so I just wanted to come here and paint a more realistic image so that you are prepared. If you are someone who is on this journey and you genuinely do want to quit your job at one point to make content, to start your own business, like, this is the reality of it. And so going back to my story, I was only comfortable taking that leap to full-time content creation once I had certain things in place. So one of those things was knowing that I had already built this foundation for business. Like, I knew already how to make money on my own terms that was not tied to an employer and that was not tied to my views, so like Google AdSense and brand deals, something that I just have full control over. And the second thing was that I made sure that I was comfortable enough with the financial safety net that I had built for myself. So I had savings from when I was working my corporate job, when I was working in the UK as well as an engineer. That was like during uni. And then I'd also saved up money from my gym jobs in Australia, and also, you know, from my business as well when I started it whilst working the gym jobs. And I had built up enough of a safety net where I felt like, okay, this is enough for me to fall back on in case anything happens. Like, I don't mind dipping into this if things go south or whatever. So I was really only comfortable with taking that leap once I had those two factors in place. So the second thing I really wanted to highlight with my story is that I was working either full-time or part-time for most of my content creation journey. And that period of time was really not easy. It was very, very difficult because you're needing to juggle so many things. And I just want to say how, like, this is normal. Like, this is what most people's journeys will look like. For the first 1, 2, 3 years of you making content or building a business, you are going to have to rely on some other stable form of employment, whether that's your full-time job or maybe you have a part-time job, and you're having to juggle that with making content, building your business, living your life, and taking care of your health and sleeping enough and all the rest. Like, this is the hardest part of the journey. And I want you to know that if you feel like you are struggling hardcore with balancing everything and doing everything at the same time, like, know that you're not in the wrong place. Like, you're not doing it wrong. This is just how it is. I like to think of it as the barrier of entry to the life that you want, to build the life of your dreams. It requires a lot of sacrifice and hard work, and you gotta keep grinding and doing it for many, many years and for a long time. So yeah, I just want to reassure you that if you're in this place right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And the journey is hard, but it's worthwhile. And that brings me to my final point on this that I wanted to highlight, which was, yeah, like I said, your dreams require a lot of sacrifice. Like, my short-term gratification was secondary to the vision that I had for my life, for the life that I wanted to build for myself. So when I was in Australia, everyone was like, oh, why don't you like go to Sydney or go to Queensland or Gold Coast and like travel around and stuff? And you know, you're there for 1 year. When else are you going to be living in Australia? You should explore. And honestly, like, I really didn't do much of that. Not as much as you'd expect for someone who is on a working holiday visa. And that was because my mission for that 1 year after quitting corporate was I wanted to have stable income through working part-time whilst I work on my channel, whilst I work on figuring out this whole business thing. That was my primary goal. I really had very, very little desire, if any, to travel or explore like that. I wasn't planning on having a gap year. This was my runway to then allow me to eventually go full-time with content creation and business. And so I pretty much stayed in Melbourne the entire time that I was there. And yeah, didn't go to all these other places that people normally go to when they visit Australia. Honestly, the split was more like 80-20. Like 80% of the time I was just very focused on working and doing my thing. 20% of the time was spent just exploring and having fun, which I accepted. Like, I was happy with that split. And to be honest, like, I still had a lot of wonderful experiences in Australia. I had friends that came to visit me from different parts of the world, and I explored different parts of Melbourne and Mornington. I also went on a couple tours by myself. It was great. Like, I did manage to explore, but that wasn't my primary goal. And yeah, I could have spent that whole year just like traveling around Australia, but I chose not to. And it helped me to really like lock in and focus on my main goal. And so going back to how this relates to you and your content creation journey, there's going to be some things that you have to sacrifice. And maybe that might be your social life. Like, you won't be able to spend as much time as you'd like with loved ones, with your friends, with your family, and you might not be able to do the things that you normally would do. Like, maybe you might watch Netflix for an hour every night, but instead of doing that, you have to edit your YouTube video or work on your next script. And yeah, just sacrifice is a normal part of the journey, and it's to be expected. And by the way, if you are someone who is struggling to grow your YouTube channel, but you know that one day you want to become a full-time creator, or at the very least turn YouTube into a sustainable source of income, my Creator Accelerator program was designed to help you do exactly that. If you'd like to find out more, you can check out the link in the description below and apply if it feels right for you. We are getting to the saucy part of the video, and it's going to be all about how I made money back then versus how I make money now with the channel. So let's dive in. I wrote some numbers down. I will share some exact numbers for certain things, but for other things I will give ranges just because I'm not fully comfortable to disclose all of that, and I also don't think it's nice. I don't know. Anyways, we'll get to that point someday. But basically the most important thing that I want you guys to get out of this is a sense of how YouTubers make most of their money and how they can make a sustainable income from YouTube, especially when they have a small audience. So I will get to that towards the end of this chapter. But let's get into the numbers real quick. So first year on YouTube, got the numbers here, July 2023 till July of 2024. So AdSense for that year with 3 viral videos was $3,081.66. Brand deals was $200 to $300 per 60 to 90 second integration. Affiliate links, I did have some affiliate partnerships, but didn't keep track of the numbers because it really wasn't that much, honestly. Like, let's say it was $100 total. Second year on YouTube, July 2024 till July of 2025. So AdSense was $2,606.29. I actually did not take on any brand deals whatsoever in the second year because I wanted to focus fully on building the business. And this is one big lesson and hack that I learned along the way, which I would highly recommend to aspiring YouTubers out there. Don't get so caught up in wanting to do all these brand deals and take little paychecks here and there, because honestly, when you are a small channel, they will lowball you and they'll say like, yeah, your median view count or your average view count is this level and we can only offer this rate. And so it's very, very difficult to negotiate like a higher rate unless you're getting tons and tons of views consistently. Then brand deals is not going to be a sustainable source of income, and you're going to be way better off just focusing all of your energy in growing your own business, because then in the long term, that's something you have full control over. And number two, you can earn way more money as a smaller channel, especially if you have a high ticket offer. So I'll get into all of that in a little bit, but going back to sharing the numbers. So I didn't take on any brand deals in the second year, and this is when I started the creator coaching. YouTube business, and it was basically lower 4 figures per client. And then afterwards, I started taking on sponsorships again in July of 2025 onwards, because that was the point where I was pivoting the business and I was getting less income from the creator coaching, and I would get around $1,500 per integration. So those are all the numbers for you. Biggest takeaway for this, and I alluded to this previously just now, is that the only sustainable way that you can make a full-time living off of YouTube, if you are a small channel, is if you have your own business tied to your content. And so selling your own product or service, and specifically for smaller YouTubers, the best way to do this is to have like a high touch service that you provide. That's probably the most like straightforward or easiest way, I would say, to make a living. And so this would be like high ticket offers, your one-to-one coaching where you work one-to-one with someone to achieve a specific desired transformation, something that you've done in the past that you can help them with. You can do lower ticket offers like communities, or maybe selling your own e-guide or PDFs or online course even. But the thing is with those is that you don't charge a lot of money per unit. And so you would need to have a ton of volume, a ton of sales every single month in order to reach your revenue targets. So with these lower ticket offers, it's only really sustainable as a source of income if you are a bigger channel, you've got a bigger audience, and you are getting tons and tons of views every single month, because then it would help to make up the volume to reach your revenue targets. Otherwise, it's very difficult to earn a living just based off of like $20 PDFs. And another point I want to highlight is that for AdSense and brand deals, this is all very much dependent on views. And as we know, with content creation, with YouTube, there is no guarantee. You can do a lot of things, and there are strategies that you can have in place to really maximize your views. But at the end of the day, you could do everything right, and sometimes the content just doesn't hit. If it was possible to get 200, 300, 400, a million views per video every single time, then like everyone would be doing it, and every single creator, or at least like there would be tons of creators where that would be possible. But the thing is, that's not the reality of it. And you can look at bigger channels like Ali Abdal, for example. You know, he's got 6+ million subscribers at this point, but some of his videos get like less than 100K views, and he's got a whole team of people that do his content strategy, that work on his scripting, that work on everything. Like literally, he has outsourced most of his content creation to the point where he just needs to sit down in front of the camera and just look at the teleprompter or look at the script and just start yapping. And that's literally it. So he's got full teams that have taken control over the content. There are tons of creators out there that are happily just living off of their brand deals and sponsorships, and they have a massive following, they get lots of views all the time, and you can earn a very, very decent living just based off of those income sources. But in my opinion, that's a very stressful way to live, because then you're just hinging on your next video performing well, and if it doesn't, it's like an immediate oh, my income for this month is gonna tank. I just don't really want to live that way. But I personally know a creator that I'm
Well, that's true, because we go through that a lot. You want to make sure that your channel can withstand your team. I have a team of people that I have to pay, so we got to make payroll, man. Basically, you got to make payroll every month. So, and that's something to it's a challenge. I love the challenge. You know, she's talking about so much stuff that's not for the beginner, so to speak, but it's good to understand everybody's point of view on these type of things. Only thing I do know is it's all about views and subscribers. Period. You're not gonna get any deals or any type of brand deals if you don't get those views and stuff up. So
met in Australia. He's got like over 2 million subscribers, and that's where he gets most of his money from. And it works well for him. And he's in fact in the process, or actually not in the process, I think he already bought the house. Yeah, he bought a house in Melbourne. That ain't cheap. And so, you know, you can absolutely do it. It's just not everyone can, and it's kind of a stressful way to do it, and it's definitely not sustainable if you're a smaller channel. So final part of this video, I wanted to share some advice that I would tell my younger self to get to this point faster, the biggest mistakes and pitfalls to avoid, and and also just generally what I would do differently on my journey. So hopefully that helps you guys also wanting to do the same thing. First thing I would say is to just start. And I know this sounds super trite, but there really is no perfect moment to start making content or to start on this big idea that you have or to just start building your dream life. Like there really isn't a point where it's going to be convenient for you to do so, because life in general is just not convenient. And if you're waiting for the perfect moment or when you feel ready, you'll never start because life will keep throwing curveballs at you. I'm so glad that I started making content a year before I quit my corporate job, because initially I actually wanted to start making content once I was in Australia, because I thought to myself, okay, I'm in a new country and I get to document this journey and it's going to be more interesting for people. But at that point, it's like, well, what am I going to do from now until a year from now, which is when I'm actually going to quit? And I'm so glad that I didn't listen to myself, because by the time that I did quit, I had already built my audience to over 14,000 subscribers, and that built a really strong foundation for me to keep building the channel but also build the business. And at that point, I had been posting weekly consistently for a whole year. I had built enough of a relationship with my audience, built enough trust. They feel like they know me. I built my personal brand to a certain level, to the point where 6 months later, I could then start monetizing through my own business. And so I would not have been able to reach that point if I hadn't started when I did. So bottom line is, just don't procrastinate on this. If you have this feeling or this urge that you want to start making content or you want to build something for yourself, like just start now, because there will never be a good time to start. Next thing I would say is just to focus on what really matters when it comes to content, because you're going to have all these people online telling you stuff like, okay, you should do this to get more views, or you should focus on this, or this is the kind of content that people want to watch these days. And there's so much noise out there for sure, but at the end of the day, and this applies to most things really, whether it's fitness or personal finance or anything, there are just a few key principles that you need to keep in mind to really be successful in that area. And all you have to do is just keep doing those things consistently for a long period of time. So for example, with fitness, it's just like, okay, don't overcomplicate it. Like you don't need to do keto, or you don't need to, have this specific biohacking routine or whatever. It's just like sleep well, eat well, and move your body. That is literally it. And if you just do that for a long enough period of time, like you will achieve the results that you want with the physique that you want, with the level of health that you'd like to have. With content creation, I would say the main things to focus on, number one, packaging. Packaging. I will bang on about this until the cows come home, or whatever the saying is. If you're a small channel, the first thing that you should really focus on for the next few months is just elevating your packaging, title, thumbnail, and hook, because that is going to help with the CTR, click-through rate. If you've got a good click-through rate, that will allow more people to discover you. And if your content is actually good, they'll stick around, subscribe to you, and follow along on your journey. And so just focus on packaging. And also the other thing on this is that if you feel like you're spending a lot of time on your thumbnails or on planning your hooks or just brainstorming your title, then that's completely normal, and that is how it should be. I didn't want to accept this for the longest time, but you should be spending a disproportionate amount of time on those aspects of YouTube and less time on the editing and the post-production, because that's not gonna be the needle mover for growing your channel. So yeah, packaging. And then second thing I would say is being able to tell a good story. So being able to share value, especially as an educational creator, in a way that is compelling and in a way that invites people to take action too, because anyone can just come online and spit out facts, give you studies and give you the statistics, the numbers, and give you the ABC 1, 2, 3 of how to do this or how to achieve this outcome. Like, in fact, you don't even need to go on YouTube, just go on ChatGPT. It will tell you literally any piece of information that you need to know. But where you can inspire someone to actually take action with their life and to actually transform their life is if you help them to feel something through your content, if you help them to relate to your content, and if you inspire them basically to take action. And the way that you do that is by being able to tell a good story. So the way that I write my YouTube scripts is very basic structure. Every chapter or every point that I want to make, number one, what is the point? And then number two, what is the story that I can attach to that point to really illustrate it and to, help to give a good example. That's basically how I do it without going into the nitty-gritty of it. And the final thing I would say, and this is just really, really boring advice, but it's so true, it's just to be consistent. Because with content and building a personal brand, this is absolutely not a get-rich-quick scheme, and you're gonna have to be posting consistently for many years before you can then start to reap the rewards, before you build enough trust with your brand to then be able to do anything meaningful or interesting with it. And so consistency is very, very important, but consistency with the intention of being 1% better with each and every piece of content that you make. And so that means having to like upskill yourself with every part of the content creation process and just investing in your own knowledge and your own content journey, whether that's through watching a lot of free resources on YouTube or actually paying for things like courses or mentoring, coaching, one-to-one mentorship, group coaching, whatever it is. Me doing that in my journey has absolutely helped to accelerate the whole process and has helped me to stay consistent too, like when I invest in myself in terms of time, energy, as well as money. So I hope that me sharing all of this really helps you guys. And if you wanted to find out more about my own content creation journey and exactly how I was able to pull through on the toughest days, even when I wanted to give up, and how I stay consistent with content throughout it all, I actually published a video recently where I talk about how to survive being a small YouTube channel, the truth about growth, and you can check that out on the screen here. Okay guys, take care and see you in the next video.
We started off pretty cool. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying things out. Only thing I do know is this. A beginner needs to practice on structuring their storyline and what are they talking about. And oh man, this is like, let me see. I became a full-time YouTuber in 24 months. She didn't really explain to me how she did it in 24 months. So I was just listening and y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I don't know. I think this right here, I didn't understand the point behind this whole thing. So I'm gonna get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.